With the release of the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, fans have speculated the possibility of a new entry in the Marvel vs. Capcom series, and as a result, so many have posted videos about their desired roster for the next game. But that's not what I'm here to do. Instead, I thought I'd go another route that's not something a lot of people consider. The Marvel vs. Capcom series made its bones off of the X-Men, starting from Children of the Atom, before making a crossover game in the form of X-Men vs. Street Fighter. They also made a fighting game in the name of Marvel Superheroes, which improved the gameplay of Coda with addition of other Marvel characters like Spider-Man and Captain America. The popularity of a lot of these characters have changed dramatically over the decades since its release, and I thought, since the Avengers are a big name now, what if Capcom made an Avengers fighting game? Now I want to clarify something. I'm not the biggest Avengers fan. I think they're fine, but teams like the X-Men and Fantastic Four seem way more interesting to me. Then, I finally got a chance to watch the entirety of Earth's Mightiest Heroes while also reading some of Marvel's new Ultimate Universe, and I finally understood what made these characters really cool. Plus, after the disaster that was the 2020 Avengers game, it's only fair to hope that someone out there could make a damn good game regardless of the genre. Capcom's already proven that they can make these characters iconic in their own right, giving them personalities that made them likable to people who didn't know them. In a time where the Avengers are nowhere to be seen in the MCU, it's only fair that Earth's Mightiest Heroes get a fair shot in the video game world. For the sake of this video though, we're not going to include characters from Spider-Man or X-Men, just people who were members of the Avengers or their enemies. Now, let's begin. So let's brainstorm here. What if Capcom really did make an Avengers fighting game? The first thing they would have to decide would be the gameplay. Now, the question is, should we go 3v3 or 2v2? 3v3 would make for some really chaotic and really hectic gameplay, and as seen with Marvel Infinite, 2v2 can retain that chaos with a simpler loadout by adding something like the Infinity Gems. But because I'm just so accustomed to the gameplay of Marvels 2 and 3, I'll just stick with 3v3. Then, we got the stages. The obvious one that comes to mind is the SHIELD Helicarrier, not just because it's already in Marvel 3, but because of its placement in Avengers lore. It's a staple to their brand, so you can't really leave that out. Then, we'd also have to bring in places like Stark Tower, and I would suggest having it filled with any Iron Man armors that you can't really put in his color palette, while also putting in some malfunctioning machinery. Another choice, and the first one that isn't already in the Marvel's game, is the Avengers Mansion. Again, let's have fun with this. Let's sneak in some characters that we can't have in his DLC, or characters that would be too obscure, like Black Knight or Tigra. I highly doubt people are going to be begging for them. We also would have to have some villain representation here, so why not include the Hydra base and have Hydra Bob react to what's going on in the match? Some other unique picks that I would suggest are the Raft, which is the prison that holds a majority of Marvel villains, and also the Century's Watchtower, just so you could capitalize on that Thunderbolt's money. Bonus points if you even have them as DLC. Alright, now for the fun part, the goddamn draft. Again, this will be Avengers focused, not specifically MCU Avengers focused, nor will we be picking characters from the X-Men or Spider-Man, so if there's any names that you don't recognize, I apologize. First, we got the obvious picks: Captain America, Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, Hawkeye, and Black Widow. They've all been in a Marvel game already, and with the rise of the MCU, it's only the sensible choice. Then we'll also include Ant-Man and the Wasp. As someone who grew up reading Marvel comics, I'll sync with the Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne versions of these characters. I'm also thinking of having them be one character as opposed to two separate ones given how similar they are, and they're practically known for sticking together. We'll also stick in Black Panther and Captain Marvel just because I think they look really cool. Plus, apart from Hulk and Thor, Captain Marvel is really the only one here with actual powers as opposed to being a scientist or a well-trained human. For the final three on the hero side, I'll go with Winter Soldier because he's always a good cool character, Vision because I think his powers would be fun in a Capcom fighting game, and the Scarlet Witch for some mutant representation. Now for the villains. My first pick would have to be Loki, He's a must-have, plus I still can't believe he already hasn't been in a fighting game. It's just crazy. Then I'd have to bring back Ultron just cause he's one of the better newcomers from Marvel Infinite. I'd also like to see the return of Taskmaster, who we haven't seen since Marvel 3. Then there's Graviton, who is one of the more underrated Marvel villains, who has the capability of just manipulating gravity. You could also see Hela come back, who, again, how has she not been in a fighting game already? It's crazy. You could also add the Hood, who is a dual-wielding gang leader with a demonic cloak, and Whirlwind, who's more of a jobber character, but he can make tornadoes, so that seems pretty cool. I'm only adding him because I can trust Capcom well enough to make this character look cool. Of course, we could also have Thanos come back given how popular the MCU made him, so now he's financially viable. We also don't have a lot of big dudes in this roster, so I'll throw in Red Hulk and Abomination. Now, as it is with most Capcom games, we need a boss character, to which I suggest this. Have Dr. Doom team up with an immensely powerful cosmic being named Michael Korvac, and once they're both defeated, he gains Korvac's power cosmic through some sort of Doom chicanery, and he becomes Cosmic God Doom. It sounds ridiculous, but this is the same company that gave us Ultron Sigma, so let me dream. As for the DLC, I'd be here forever if we went through 5 to 6 seasons of DLC, so I'll just give the ones that I would love to see. On the hero side, let's include 2 of Marvel's Supermen, Sentry and Hyperion, specifically Hickman's Hyperion from the Secret Wars era. Capcom may never get a chance to work on any of DC Comics' characters, so it would be nice to see them let loose on these versions of Superman. Then I would also add in Wonder Man, She-Hulk, and The Thing, since they're all former members of the Avengers team. Finally, America Chavez. She's not the most popular character, but her dimension hopping abilities could make for some fun gameplay. On the villain side, I'll throw in Madam Viper from Hydra, along with Baron Zemo, Enchantress, and the Red Skull. We could also close it off with Kang the Conqueror and Crossbones. Then we got the modes. While Avengers is a brand known for having some great stories, recent attempts from Capcom to make a fighting game story mode have been questionable at best, so I think I'll leave that out. Instead, let's go back to square one. Think back to the arcade days when the most story that we had were characters having an intro and an outro cutscene after they beat the arcade mode boss. So, it's simple. Story mode out, arcade mode in. Assuming it has a good online mode already, some more single player modes would also be welcome. While a World Tour mode set in New York would be a good idea, I'd also be partial to a revamped Heroes and Heralds mode from Marvel 3. Just take what works and improve on it. Survival mode is also a must, along with a top tier training mode. It's always cool to have a gallery mode as well, not just a model viewer for the 3D models of characters, but some concept art would be neat as well, along with some director's commentary, and of course, a jukebox to play some sick tunes. That's about the most that I can offer at the moment. I made this video for the sake of manifesting an idea for a really cool Avengers game. While I'm more of an X-Men fan, the Avengers have some untapped potential that we still have yet to see. While the MCU has been able to bring some well done depictions of various characters, there were still some chains that are holding it back. Whether it's killing off its villains or just ignoring Hulk's storyline altogether. Now that the Avengers are more popular than they ever were, it only makes sense to let loose and do something fun with the brand. With that being said, I'm Jay Samra. Goodbye, sayonara, alvida, peace.